Well, today some Ghanaians poured out to the streets, and that was their main claim, that they were offended by what happened in the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency. One other person who's been offended by this particular conduct of people there, the brutalities that happened in that particular constituency during the by-election, is my guest today. He's a former chief of staff, he's an expert in transitions, and perhaps you should know him. After this break, we'll continue our conversation with Nana Tuadazi. Man who hardly writes, I mean, not very consistently, but he also hardly speaks on national issues, except when it's of national importance and extreme importance. And Nana Tuadazi is a former chief of staff. He's an expert on trust issues. In fact, UN acclaimed expert on trust issues because he's been one of those in the early part of the Jerry Rawlings administration who helped stabilize this state in various forms. Well, he's been speaking about recent happenings in the country. The statement he issued was very brief. But one of the things that caught the eyes of many was what he said about the IGP, the National Security Minister, and many others who are responsible for the security of this state. He asked that they willingly resign from office. Nana, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
I hope you are doing well.
Well, managing.
You are not.
Old age.
Well, you don't look at.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, you've been around for way too long a time.
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe,
you have a lot of
maybe,
experience.
maybe.
You are not to be very categorical and declarative in your statements. You are mostly very diplomatic. But your latest statement sought to be a bit categorical. You are asking for the head of people who are responsible for state security, especially who saw the Ayawaso incident happen. What informed this position?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks to your viewers. Of course, I'm happy to be back here. For my age and time in public service, rather we keep quiet, give room to others to operate. But when the ship of state appears to be in peril, I think that is imperative on all of us, everybody indeed, to make his or her voice heard. The events of 31st January 19 at AAW, it's really, 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 really depressing. I mean, for me, personally, this is about the first time I'd seen in over maybe 18 years, real rough attack, the scene. To see the images that came out were frightening and depressing, and really cast a long shadow forward, not backward, towards 2020. And people are scared in this country. People are scared about what's going to happen in 2020. I put out this, and I got responses from people who say, we are scared. I mean, they are not NDC people, they are not NPP people. Because they saw, what appeared to be paramilitary team, unaccounted team, in full glare on the television. And it's like, where did they come from? Who are they? Somewhere marked as though they were going to Syria to fight. You understand? Do we have that kind of thing? It wasn't one of those skirmishes by MPP, NDC people, But as you could see, a definite group or position or trained or whatever, or camped, operating as a truly paramilitary force. Okay. Where did they come from? Who appointed them? Who pays them? What are they for? There are more questions which need to be answered.
But since these questions have not been answered, would it not have been premature for you to make declarative statements like, some people must resign?
Oh, absolutely. I saw things which, shocked me, as I said. I mean, I saw in the images, I saw vehicles branded police.
Yeah.
And quite clearly, the people who were in there didn't appear to be police. They didn't appear to me like my regular type of police. Did you see them?
Yes.
Did you see police? Yeah, exactly. They didn't appear to me like our regular military. Is there an invading force from somewhere? Is there an agency, a new security agency that's been set up? As a lawyer, I know what Article 85 says. It's in absolute terms. Nobody in this country has a right. It says no agency, establishment, or other organization concerned with national security shall be established except as provided for under this constitution. And the agencies established for security are there. The police, the military, prisons, whatnot. They are there. So where are these people?
When the Minister of State at the National Security makes a declarative statement on this next question, that these are officers under the operation of the national security who have a specific responsibility.
Yes.
How different is it from
that? That is the reason why he must step down.
Why?
I've just read to you Article 85, and I'm saying that Article 85 does not permit the creation of any, military or paramilitary force apart from the one set up by this Constitution. Can he define which part of the Constitution set up the team that he is carrying forward? You understand?
But
we are talking about the Constitution. We are talking about a constitutional governance.
Yeah.
We are talking about democracy. So we must talk about law.
But Nana, is it not the case, and what I've heard, the justification, and he was very much clear in his mind, that they have responsibilities as national security?
He's wrong. I won't even let you land. He's absolutely wrong.
National security?
You see, it's because we don't appreciate what national security. National security is a deliberative forum.
Yeah.
It's a policy-making forum. You see, when you have the military established, the security agencies around, you understand?
Yeah.
These are military people, whatnot. As we go into civilian government, a democratic oversight committee has to be set up. Okay, are you listening?
I'm hearing.
Or reading what they are saying?
No, I'm.
Come on, let's go to your talk. You ask a question, I'll give you. So a democratic, oversight committee is set up, and that is the National Security Council to ensure that the security agencies which have been set up do just what they are supposed to be doing, and then don't run away. You see, don't run away with what agencies that they are holding. So this democratic establishment, the head of it is there. The president is the head. The vice president and other bodies, they formulate policies. They are advisory body. They don't have a standing force. That is exactly what I'm saying.
So that's what you.
So where did they come from?
I get your point, but to be fair, what that he said was that this is part of the police institution. They are what we consider
did I hear you say they are part of the police institution?
Yes, it says it's a special unit called the counter-terrorism unit. Like we had the formed unit under the previous government.
Okay,
you've heard that before.
Okay, where?
The formed unit.
That's what he's saying?
He said that there was formed unit under the previous government. This is a similar unit, a similar unit to the similar responsibility.
Let us educate ourselves.
Yes.
Let us educate ourselves. You understand? It's not what he says goes. It's what the Constitution says. You understand?
And more importantly, the interpretation of the Constitution in this case.
What is it?
I'm saying that, for example, your understanding of what the constitutional details may be different from how government, and more importantly, a minister of state,
that is why
national security may understand.
Of course, that is why you don't have a right to ask me why I'm asking him to step down. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
I'm not entitled to my opinion.
I get you.
Come on, you must be fair to this.
You, a man of your caliber, timber standard, will not necessarily have any opinion. You will have an informed opinion.
Well, we haven't gone far in this discussion for you to feel.
No, I'll get to the point. But since you said that,
pronouncement.
I'm not complaining. What I'm saying is that I agree with your constitutional dictates that you're reading. I'm saying that the reading of the Constitution, except very clear in the minds of both parties in this case, one the government and also your very good self. And I'm not for a second doubting your competence in the Constitution.
Yes.
I am just saying that maybe government had a different interpretation of the provisions you're reading.
It's wrong. I'm saying that the interpretation cannot be right. I've read Article 85 to you in absolute terms. Do you understand?
I get you.
It says that nobody, indeed that's what it means, that nobody can form a private army. You understand that one?
But they don't say that they form a private army.
No. I'm saying that now, you see, the National Security Council, that's what I'm saying. Listen carefully. It's a deliberative forum. It is a forum that deals with policy issues and whatnot. They don't have command, powers. They are not the people who say, go to war or go here, or they don't move troops. They don't have troops. They depend on the existing establishment, like the police, like the military, like the prison, like that kind of stuff. You understand? Yeah. Now, in this particular case, a minister of state comes public to say that he assigned some people to a place for a function. You see, and I'm saying that he does not have that power.
You see, he cannot do so.
No, the command authority vests in either the IGP or the CDS. You understand? If you go to the Article 202, I believe, you will find that, yes, I have right. Inspector General of Police. He said the Inspector General of Police shall be appointed by the President, acting in consultation with the Council of State. And 20322 says the Inspector General of Police shall be the head of the police service, not national service, national security service, okay, and shall, subject to the provisions of this article and to the control and direction of the Police Council, be responsible for the operational control. You understand? Operational control. Yeah. Operational control and administration of the police service. Operational control means that he is the one who can order people, go to Ayawaso, go here, go there. Not a minister. If a policeman has to move, he moves on the command of the IGP or his delegated officer. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's interesting though.
That's what the Constitution says.
I mean, I'm not disputing that. The point I'm making to you here is that the national security and its setup, at least according to Minister of State.
Don't quote him as though he is the Holy Quran or the Bible. I'm saying that he probably does not understand it.
He may not understand his role. I get your point.
Of course.
Yeah.
I should be able to sit here and say that he probably has got it wrong. You understand? It's not an insult. Okay. I'm saying that we need to educate ourselves. In the constitutional dispensation, we learn as we go ahead. Democracy is a journey. It's not a one-time thing. Okay. So we find out there's a flaw here that we corrected. Let me tell you, in 1998 or 1992 or thereabout, the PNDC had what we term the 64 Battalion.
Yeah, the Jew.
You understand?
Group, yeah.
Yes. I had the obligation, the unpleasant obligation, thrown on me at the tail end to go and inform them that within the constitutional constraints of the new constitution, they may not have any role. So we will have to realign them into the existing military structure. It wasn't a pleasant job to do, but it wasn't a pleasant news to give. But that's what I want. I told them. You understand? So if you have people like vigilantes and whatnot, and you need to give them a job, they must come within the structure, the state structure. You cannot put them together suddenly, in an amorphous group and say that they take salary from police or they take salary from this. You understand? When we talk about democratic governance, we talk about accountability.
I have a question. Sorry, forgive me.
I know
you are going to that point, and I'm happy you brought in the 64 Battalion. Some say that for many of you who are talking now, this is exactly what the 64 Battalion used to do. They were veterans.
In 1993.
Yes.
So why are you talking about it in 2018?
Forgive me. I'm saying
this country must move forward.
I get your point. I'm not disputing that. I'm saying
I think it's really a waste of time. No. You know how I respond to this.
I get your point.
This is idle. It's an idle talk.
In this case.
It's an idle talk. I'm afraid. Let's move on.
They are insisting that they didn't hear some of you being this vociferous on this matter when the atrocities was committed by
we were the same people who went and drafted the presidential transition law. You see, we were in government that was unaccountable, but we passed the presidential transition law. Out of it, 5 civilian governments have come. They've been turned over. Is it progress?
I agree, it is actually.
So why shouldn't we be saying that in the past we were unaccountable? You understand? This country cannot appear to suddenly to have started yesterday. No. You understand? But we have moved. In my area of work, the UN assignment transition, I go to countries, I assist them, or we exchange ideas so that they will move, they will transcend from one state to the other. You don't have to be looking back. I think it's absolutely idle talk.
The claim here is that the problem has always been with us. It is important that we find a holistic way forward. And that's why we have a commission of inquiry.
Yes.
By respected Ghanaians, people of pedigree and standard, to deal comprehensively with this problem.
Well, you moved on now.
Yes.
Okay. I want to know whether you've moved on from your earlier rather hard positions. You know, commission of inquiry. I heard people saying they must set up a commission of inquiry.
Yes.
I have nothing against it. And in my document, I've said so.
You said that the calls for a judicial commission of inquiry, though well-intentioned, may only serve a diversionary cause.
Exactly. You say, why a diversionary cause? We have to just quickly, I want to just run over it. Why quickly, what is it? A commission of inquiry is normally set up to investigate and get to work through a cause, a problem, you know. Now, what is it that we're trying to find out or resolve? You get me? There's no fight. We saw on the images on our television, a group of people that have gone to Ayawaso. There's been some crisis out there, okay?
Yeah.
And then during an election period, by-election. Now, the problem is, why were they there? Why should they be there? You know, I mean, didn't it affect, you know, people were asking. I mean, some people say, why shouldn't they be there and all that? So we simply wanted to find out, you want to know more about what happened. Now, to find out what will happen, there are so many vehicles. That's what I'm saying. There are so many vehicles for dealing with this. One of it could be a constitutional judicial inquiry. Fine. And one has been set up. My statement came even before that. But it does not contradict mine. Except to say that if you don't know, what we want to find out is quickly, so that we don't have a repetition. And then we can calm people's nerves and restore confidence in the constitutional order. We want to know who deployed the troops, okay? Can we identify the person? I'm coming, sorry.
Okay, yes.
Can we identify the personnel? What was the mission, their instructions given to them? What weapons did they use? Who gave them the uniform, the vehicles, you know, the inventory? You know, how are they to be classified? You know, was there some indiscriminate shooting? We can use so many ways of finding out. I'm saying that a commission, I still believe that a commission of inquiry is a little time consuming, unnecessarily delay, and it will take time before we even get to the bottom of what had happened. You know, please come in.
I'm not interrupting. I'm just letting you flow.
Yeah. You know, because a commission of inquiry, they've been announced. They've not yet been set up. You know that. Now, it will take time before they start operating. Even when they start, they will have to call witnesses. When they call witnesses, they're going to have a period under which they would, they will be working. When they finish their report, they have to submit it to the president. The report must be released within 6 months, you understand? After submission, after their work, it will take another 6 months, possibly, before the report is released. After the report is released, you understand, the people who are affected may have 3 months, okay, before right of appeal and all that. You see what we are talking about already, we are running to 9 months to 1 year or not. The events which happen on the 31st are events which have a long shadow to 2020. 2020 is barely 1 year off, isn't it?
Yeah.
1 year. So if you're going to spend another 1 year or so to use as a judicial inquiry, what are we going to? But there's a way out. I said it's not the only vehicle. I think, for instance, that, look, what are we looking for? We are looking for who deployed the unit, the troops. Brian Achampon, Honorable, says he did. Not so. Okay. We assume that if you ask the question, can we identify the personnel? If he deployed them, he can answer it. He can supply us the list. Thirdly, what were the instructions or the mission he gave them? We know that one. What weapons were issued? We don't know. What vehicles were issued? We don't know. But did the police authorize it? All these things can be investigated and established within 72 hours by the PIPS. You know PIPS is a police
professional standards
unit. It's very simple. It's very simple. They go to national security and demand, Brian, the honorable minister, you instructed the people to go. No? Say, yes, sir. Give us a list of the people who went. What weapons did they use? So in the military and formed forces, there's a process of accountability. You understand? Whatever is given out, you sign for. When you come back, they check the amount of bullets you've used and whatnot. It's as simple as that. We can get that same information in 72 hours. Now, the follow-up is that if, like you said, you saw police vehicles being used, the police have an obligation to investigate how the vehicles got out there. The buck stops with the IGP. How did police vehicles get into that place? I heard the EC. She said the police people who were assigned to the, the election, they were sitting, they were unarmed, they were quietly sitting there. If some other people come in police vehicle, shouldn't we be asking the IGP questions? So long as he is the person by the Constitution in charge of the, deployment, how's the exact word they use? The operational control. How did his vehicles get there?
But, Nana, can the PIPs interrogate the IGP?
You don't get it. That is why I say he should step down. That's why I say Brian Achampong should step down. You don't understand.
I get you.
In administration, you see, if the big man is there, if the person is there, and he obviously will be an impediment to investigation, you respectfully ask the person to step aside. You don't sack him. He should step aside until the investigation is over. What is wrong with that? Everybody can be investigated. I've been investigated. If police vehicles are found in a place on a purpose for which we need answers, don't forget that sovereignty lies with the people. The IGP is being paid by the people of this country. They are entitled to ask questions. So at that point in time, I'm just saying, you see, don't get me wrong. I have nothing personal against it.
I get you, but my problem
as a matter of principle, if the head of Joy FM sees you operating at Peace FM, would he ask questions?
He would.
He will?
Yes.
Why?
Because I'm as of right supposed to be working
here. So what business do you have doing there? I'm saying that is exactly what it is. It's administrative responsibility.
I get you.
And if he fails, you see, when you undertake an assignment of such a nature, and it is botched, or you lose, or it fails, you resign. 1998, there was a gentleman called Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North. You ever heard his name? He caught up in the Contra-Iran exchanges. And the presidents, Reagan and later on Bush, everybody ran away. He did something that was illegal. That was contrary to the American congressional rules and laws. It was a very simple matter. He said, I did serve my country. I thought I was serving honestly. I did the right thing. But you know what? I broke the law. Or the people under me broke the law. I resign. That we're moving towards a society where people feel accountable, where people are prepared to subject their conduct to the accountability, level. In modern day world today, it's just only election. It's an election, we have transition, but also we have accountability. That's international law. Now, if I may just quickly mention, I said that there's something that disturbs me. There are many people running around saying, oh, they should have given a double slap. They should have done that. The people should have done that. I'm saying that there is what we term human rights abuses, and then the offenses against, crimes against the state, or against humanity. These are punishable. And people, policemen, priests, whatnot, ministers, politicians have been dragged to the World International Court of Justice. I was in the corner in Sierra Leone in the Chastela defense team. You understand? I saw people come give evidence. I know what I'm talking about. So I think that we should be very careful. Ghana is not an island. We are in a committee of nations. There are certain conduct which is not acceptable. What we saw that day, 31st January, when people were being booted and whatnot and shot and chased, was simply not right. Or you thought it was right?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there's any right-thinking member of this society
but I'm
who
not holding
supports
anything,
this claim.
I'm saying that what is it that we should do so that we translate from that package into a new dimension? So we need a new paradigm, a paradigm shift, because events happen in, what do you say, 1989, why you don't have a moral right to talk about it. That's absolute bunkum. You understand? We have moved this country, all of us have moved, and we've come here. 7th of January, I was one of the happiest persons of 2017. One of the happiest persons in this place. Okay. Not because my party had lost or Mr. Mahama had lost, but that we had gone through a wonderful and smooth political transition. I was with you here.
Yes, that's true.
All of us were happy. So why didn't you say that I belong to a generation of non-accountable governors?
No, I think you're not getting the point.
No.
Forgive me. Yeah, my point here is that there has been a series of issues building up to this point. The cracks, and I've heard government officials explain this, the cracks of the formation of this committee is not limited to Ayawaso West Wuogon. Indeed, the expectation, according to the CI we are told about, actually extends to all other by-elections, all other situations where an election of this sort had resulted in violence. And this is government saying, we want to retrospect and look at the meaningful way forward. And that is how broadened the scope of this committee's work is supposed to be. So I get you.
By the way, are you reading from the what do you call it? No, the terms of reference of the Committee of Inquiry? Because you are making some very broad statements which
you are not privy. You are not privy to the CI and its content.
The what?
The CI.
A new CI has come out?
Yes, please. On this particular.
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. If I don't know, I don't know.
That's what I'm telling you. That the CI is actually not limiting the functions of this particular commission to just Ayawaso West Wuogon.
Yes. And indeed. It's going to do for what?
In fact, it actually
educate me.
Yes, says that if I have a petition on Tripoli, if I have a petition on Talensi, and I would wish that that issue equally be interrogated, I could be there at the commission, petition them to equally look into that matter for me, so far as it borders on electoral violence in a by-election.
Oh, but what are you talking about? This is what in elementary school they say non-sila. You know, no, non-sila. Without due respect. Listen to what I'm saying. What Ghanaians are asking about, essentially, is not about the by-election or any other by-election. What they are talking about is the violence that occurred that day. Indeed.
But the violence was not in a vacuum.
Indeed.
The violence did not happen at the marketplace. The violence happened at a specific place, during a specific event. And this event is a crux of the interrogation.
I'm saying that the events of people, undocumented people who had gone out and undertaking some violence. Now, it is not in isolation.
I agree.
Our concern, the concerns of most Ghanaians, is not because it's in isolation, is this. But it's because we've seen this kind of event one too many. Not in elections, not in by-elections, but in court. People have raided courts. You understand? In this country, you know that?
Yeah.
And retrieved people. People have gone elsewhere and retrieved people. People have attacked, ministers of state. The minister of state went to a meeting. He was attacked. He says he wasn't attacked. Well, he was the one who was attacked.
I get your point. Yeah.
And all that. So for me, it isn't really a big deal. The fundamental issue is what exactly, or how are we to deal with this? And I've given you an example of how this was handled sometime in the past. You understand? I said that what we did was to realign those undocumented people into the mainstream, of the military. Is that a wrong proposition to make, or elsewhere?
I get you.
Understand?
I get you.
So I'm helping. I'm not saying that go and throw bread out of anybody's mouth, how they say. You get me? But we must go by the Constitution.
I get your point, and I am seeking to get this point. Whether or not you think having to go the commission of inquiry way, as you explained, could take us longer than usual.
Sure. I don't have any doubts.
But is that not what is required to make sure that we have a more long-lasting resolution of the issues, and again, a more long-lasting recommendation that would stand the test of time, that will be comprehensive enough so that we can deal with this issue very well?
You probably don't know and understand the history, the dimensions of committees of inquiry. We have had so many committees of inquiry.
I agree.
Their reports are lying in, on shelves, collecting dust. You understand? You cannot categorically say that this particular committee's report will find any favor anywhere. The president is entitled, he has a right to even reject the commendation.
Very well.
But I'm saying that we want, once there is a damage, we want remedy. Lawyers, that's what you say. Once there's a damage, there must be a remedy. How can we effectively stop this proliferation, of violence, whether in the market or in the court place, or at by-elections, of people who are not police and people who are not military or whatnot. You understand?
I get you.
There were policemen on the scene.
Yes, they were.
What were they doing there?
They were there to keep the peace.
Did you see them keep the peace there when the shooting was on? Did you see them? I saw a customs officer who was running. Did you see him?
Yeah.
You saw him?
Yeah. In some of the videos, though.
Did you see the big fat policeman who was standing there? It was a sad spectacle. I am trained to salute a policeman at any time, anywhere I meet him, because they maintain our peace. If a policeman loses out on his authority, moral authority, to control, to maintain law and order, the IGP who sent him there must resign. If we come to a situation where people take the uniform, the weapons, the cars of the police for an exercise, an operation, you understand? For an operation, and it fails, the honorable thing to do is that, look, no, it shouldn't happen again. I resign.
Do you think that all the questions that you have asked tonight can't be properly answered with this commission of inquiry and giving you answers that you'll be interested in? So that maybe later on, when you have a full appreciation of all of these issues, you may change your mind about not only the function of this work, but the people you ask and you are insisting they should resign.
No.
You don't think so?
No, I'm saying, you see, you are not getting with the point I'm making. I'm not talking about necessarily wrongs Brian Achambo has done, or wrongs done by the IGP. I'm talking about what probably they didn't do, or they should have done, they failed to do. It's also, it's either by commission or omission. You understand? He had an obligation, IGP had an obligation to stop police vehicles, gear, insignia from being used for other purposes. It's not the first time. It's been happening. And he hasn't stopped it. Why should he come for your head? It's his head.
Okay.
And it's an honorable way of stepping down. When he steps down, it will embolden and then shake everybody up, say, there's something wrong. We have to correct things. You understand? But if you sit down quietly, it's happening. You don't see. I'm saying it's been happening all over. And it has not been necessarily hitting NDC elements. You see, I was talking now about the MPP minister who was attacked. You know that?
Yes, of
in
course.
his story. I'm talking about the NPP appointed regional security coordinator who was pulled down in blood. You understand? We are talking about, these are all things. So it is a matter which cuts across board. So we should have a very open and broad mind when we are approaching this matter. We are talking about vigilantism, the negative side of vigilantism. And the problem is how do we curb it? How do we resolve it? How do we ensure that this matter, it wavers? Now, for me, it's a transitional issue. And I'll tell you why I'm interested in it. Vigilantism in other countries that I've visited and read about has polarized, destroyed, and, in some cases, completely emaciated the country. Congo, since 1960, has been caught up in vigilantism. People own blocks of their country.
Okay.
Up to today, since Lumumba, they've had no peace. Up to today, the latest election, you saw what happened. Yeah. I'm saying that if you look at Rwanda, the history will tell you 1 million people, I told you, were killed in 100 days as a result of vigilantism. In Sierra Leone, I went there, Liberia, 625,000 people were killed as a result of vigilantism. When you go to Sierra Leone, you get there from the plane, you see people, their hands capped, it's short sleeves or long sleeves. During the war, women's wombs being ripped open. But unaccounted for people, my brother, we are talking about a serious matter, and I'm saying that when I say this, I say it because of what I have seen, what I've read, and I'm saying it's not the first time. On 6th January this year, you had the Constitution Day.
Yeah.
I was at GTV, GTV. Okay. With 2 other persons. That's what I was talking about. I said that this is what can destroy our constitutional and democratic order. It was not published.
We'll take a break. After this break,
can I have some water, please?
Yes, I'll get you.
Published. You see, we are running away from that which can destroy this country.
We'll take a break. After this break, we'll center our conversation on disbanding these groups and whether or not that's a feasibility anytime soon. Well, folks, we're still on Upfront. My guest is Anatu Das. He's a former chief of staff. He's one transition expert you should know about in this country. After the break, we'll continue this conversation. You're welcome back. This is Upfront. My name is Raymond Dalkwa. Our conversation today is on one former chief of staff who, in his varied and very different capacities, is telling us how to deal with this problem of what happened in the Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency, the violence there, and the aftermath of that. He's rejecting, and of course, he doesn't think it's the very best of actions to take now. The Commission of Inquiry set up. He's giving several reasons for it. He's actually saying that vigilantism is a big issue, way bigger than we have perceived it in this country. That's a conversation we want to have next. Now, my question to you on this is, in the run-up to the 2016 election, the political parties went to, and they did it the same thing in 2012, went to Kumasi. The recent one, they did it at the Movenpick Hotel. Yeah. What they want to do is to sign a peace accord. They call it the Accra Accord. There was a Kumasi one. All of this was to say, and as part of that, do not deploy any vigilante groupings anywhere in the country so that the peace of this country can be sustained. Indeed, no single political party that matters in this country wasn't there. So there was consensus among them. Now, in March of 2015, there was also a similar agreement between these political parties to disband their vigilante groups. Indeed, in December of 2016, in February of 2016, the police came out to say that it is working with the political parties that's giving them a deadline, and they are working within the deadline to make sure that this issue is dealt with comprehensively, and after that particular comprehensive matter, there will no longer be functioning vigilante groups in the country. Now, here we are. We know what happened after this government took over and the years after that. We know that there was some resurgence of sort, and that state institutions were being taken over. People were walked out of their offices. There was some kind of chaos. It seemed to have died down. And I know
died down?
Yes, the chaos died down along the line.
Okay. Koforidua, 3 weeks or 1 month ago. Yeah. You don't read it all?
No, I get you. But I'm talking about the fact that in a day we could recall like 6 of these cases. It reached the point, even the IGP had enabled these men to deal with these people. So we saw some prosecutions.
What?
The IGP.
Yeah,
they enable these regional, what do they call it, police commanders to deal with the people and deal with them decisively. After that, we saw some prosecutions. In fact, we saw reports of, yes, in the Ashanti region, none that want to do with the court evasion. There are different matters that were taken to court. In the Brown region, those who went to the NHIA office. Indeed, in the Northern region too, there were some prosecutions of people who were purported to be in vigilante groups. Now, not long ago, I heard the General Secretary of the NDC, you are still a member of the NDC, right, say that until this government and the NPP disbands its vigilante groups, they in the NDC are not going to do so. I've heard where you're seated, the national organizer of the party says they are not going to touch it until the NPP also does same. Indeed, the national youth organizer has been in the studio before, seated where you are. He was categorical in his mind that their party was recruiting more. Now, can you advise the NDC to disband vigilante groups known to them?
Well, I used to say, can't I advise
I said,
NDC?
can you?
Can I?
Yes.
Oh, listen, in leadership, we start with the leader. You understand? In leadership.
In this case, the leadership of the NDC?
No. In the leadership, so why do you say, let's disband? You are keeping yours. And you say, I should disband. You know,
no, but you can't have this stance.
Don't get me.
Don't get people.
No,
cannot be part of those who say that. Let's keep our own.
No, don't get me wrong.
I get you completely.
I'm saying that it takes two to tango. They say it's a very wonderful meaning. You understand? I don't know whether NDC, in fact, has the capacity to do the things which happen in Ayawaso West Wuogon, on the 31st today. You see, whether the NDC can access police vehicle today as we're speaking. And then, do you get me?
I get you. Because it's in opposition. But this NDC is not far from being in government.
I'm saying that could NDC have gone, grabbed the nearest police vehicles, done some military gear, and gone to Ayawaso West Wuogon on the 31st January? Do you think?
No, because they don't control the forces of the state.
Yes. So the fortunes are not equal. Yeah. You see, so we must be realistic. I am saying that vigilantism in any form, from any quarter, must be banned. Really? But a classmate of mine drew my attention recently from London. He said, no. Nana, vigilantism, there are good sides to vigilantism. When you use vigilantism for purpose of protecting, defending the society, like the watchdog thing we used to have.
But we know these people are not watchdogs.
That's exactly what I wrote back to my... I'm saying that's exactly what I wrote back to my man in London. That, look, my friend, what you don't understand, when we talk about vigilantism in Ghana, we know what we mean. It means that some group of people come to attack you. But seriously, I think that vigilantism, like I've said, is not peculiar to Ghana. Yes. It's not peculiar to West Africa. It's a great challenge in Africa. And it has wrought so much damage. You talked about...
Forgive me, at this point you have made. The question I asked you directly was that, since you're a very influential member of the NDC...
I hope so.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
I mean, they've called upon you to defend people in court before. I was sitting in the courtroom when you led the defense in the Muntia 3 case.
I did. I was the spokesperson.
Okay. But
that's why you were seeing me.
Yes, I was seeing you out there.
Yeah.
I sat in that courtroom and saw you. Yeah. You have enough authority and gravitas to talk to the NDC, where you are affiliated, to tell them that stop promising more vigilante groups. And
did you hear what I said 2 minutes ago? Just 2 minutes ago, I said that I am against vigilantism, whether from NDC or NPP or CCC.
But have you been able to tell the NDC?
I've been saying this all across. I was saying, sorry,
what has been their response to you?
I'm saying that it is not my word. Mine is like the prophet in the desert, appealing to people, drawing their attention to the fact that you are playing with fire. We in Ghana, we are playing with what we think is small fire. And that's what I'm saying, that it can expand, it can grow, it can burn all of us. We can see Ghanaians carrying their things towards Togo, Ivory Coast, and whatnot. It is not right. Whether it's from NDC or MPP, that's it. You don't have to do anything that will also engender the growth of, what do you call it, this. But I'm saying, the point I was making about leadership is that I call on Mr. President. The buck stops with him. You understand? When I saw the statement issued by Mr. President, whom I have so much great respect, it, and because of where we've come from together, all this, you get me? I felt so sorry. You see, that statement on Ayawaso, how would I say I was? Ayawaso,
yes.
I was expecting a statement that would have lifted the country up. You understand? In the first instance. I always say, I've mentioned this to you before, that the head of state wears 3 caps or hats. One, he's a commander-in-chief. Secondly, he's the head of government. But thirdly, and more importantly, he's the head of state. When he is addressing his people at a rally, he's a head of government. He can say all kinds of, it's a privileged platform.
Yeah.
Say anything about NDC, what no, they are conform where them, nobody will be bothered. But when he comes back to put on his hat as head of state, then we are all his children. We are all his sons. You get me? So when there's a crisis, which obviously has, put some fear in the bulk of the people, and that's why we are here. That's why the Presbyterian Church is spoken. That's why the Catholic Church is spoken. Okay. That's why Professor Mate has come out from the woodwork to speak. Everybody is concerned. At that point in time, I would have expected those handling the handlers, Twitter handlers, to have just come up with a very simple statement and say, the president, deprecates what has happened and will have the necessary instructions go ahead. Investigation to go on. But that statement, somehow, they sneaked in a whole long story about, the history of NPP, their parties, that. And I thought, when there's a pain...
So the statement was not conciliatory?
No, it wasn't.
Not at all?
It wasn't. You see, what I'm saying
specifically did you want to add to that particular statement? That would have actually calmed nerves, that would have actually assured the people that
they should have disengaged the second part from the first part. That's what I'm saying.
I get you.
They should have, if you have it here, they should have disengaged the second part from the first part. The first part was clear. He regrets what has happened and whatnot. A short test statement, you see, then everybody, whether you are NDC or MPP, you say, oh, the president is against what happened. Full stop.
Okay.
But the second part, would appear to be justificatory of, that of the election and whatnot. There are two different things. You see, the EC was at pains to try and disengage the two. He said, look, the election went on smoothly and safely, but there was an incident.
Okay.
Don't join the two. But in the president's statement, I'm saying that the two were joined. I'm saying that those who advised, the Twitter handlers, failed him.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not entitled to...
No, you're actually entitled to make that claim.
Hey, he's my president as well.
I get you.
I've got business to say, it's all right. So he must... that's why in my statement, you see, in that part of my statement, I said...
the president of Ghana must urgently and unequivocally
the president
condemn...
of Ghana must urgently and unequivocally... unequivocally condemn the events of January 31st, 2019, in order to do what? To restore public confidence and that of the citizenry in the constitutional order. People must be made to have faith in the Constitution. People of Ghana must be encouraged to want to report wrongdoings or things, attacks on them to an institution. When people get to a point where they say, I had one NDC minister say, I'm not going to report to any police. I don't have faith in her. I disagree with him. At least go and report for purposes of recording history and counting. Because it must be there. If you don't go, how do we know that it happened? You understand? So I'm saying that I'm expecting, it's still not too late. There are ways of dealing with it. Where Mr. President will say, look, there are clear defects. And I'm quite certain that the president will appreciate a lot of the points I'm making, which you seem to have some challenges with, about the fact that the National Security Council does not have a right to a certain army. That is law. The IGP is the person who has control, the operational and administrative control of the police. That is law. That is the constitution. You see, you cannot craft your own. You cannot say, for convenience, we are in the national security, we've pulled some people to ourselves. Have you seen the report or the statement from Occupy Ghana?
Yes, I've seen that.
They are not pro-NDC. Have you seen the string of demands they are making?
Yes,
that's clear. Just what I'm saying. I came out first. That's exactly what, there's a consensus on what is lacking. There's a consensus on the weakness in that build-up. There's a consensus on the events of 31st. We must just correct it. We are not saying people should be hanged or whatnot. We say we must find a way of correcting it so that it does not duplicate or replicate itself in 2020. Otherwise, people may be tempted to, take law to their hands and defend their franchise. What will happen to this country?
I have a question about the mode of handling of this matter so far. You seem not to think that it's the best of ways.
By whom?
I'm saying that the way government has handled this matter, the way government has chosen to set up commission of inquiry, the way government has said that let the commission of inquiry come up in a month's time and give us a report, then we will deal with this particular report.
I've given you the legal, what do you call it?
Yes.
Routine that we're going to go through. Even if they finish in 1 month's time, and they publish it, they're going to have 6 months. Before it becomes even law effective.
You have outlined that particular point to
Wonderful, because it's their law.
You've also suggested an alternative to dealing with this matter. One of the questions I'm asking in all of this is, if the government of the day decides to go ahead with this plan.
Which one?
The plan to use this commission of inquiry.
Yes.
The plan to go by its own route it has set up for itself. Yes. What signals will that send to you?
Well, I don't have any doubt whatsoever that would mean that the government is not immediately ready to see peace in this country. And secondly, that they are not ready to assure the people of this country, the confidence with which they can work and not feel intimidated, or the right of association. You understand? What is it that you have narrated what has gone on the last 2 years? Yes. I didn't. You get me?
I get you.
So why is it that when a group of people have met and they are meeting, if you disagree with it, go there and speak your mind. Why should you come with a gun and brutalize people? I'm saying that it should not be said, this should not be said of Ghana.
You did make
I'm
the
saying
point.
I've been in Liberia, I've been in Sierra Leone, I've been in Gambia, I've been in Nigeria. Everybody is making an effort to stop this.
You did make the point that the president should do all of this to make sure that there is some form of restoration of public confidence in the citizenry, in the constitutional order.
Yes.
Is there loss of confidence in the constitutional order in this country today?
Yes,
there is?
Yes. See, listen, you have to go back to how society itself came together in 1 minute. We were all independent. Everybody was having his own. The lions were attacking people. Yeah. People were scared. They came together. Then at a point in time, they say, you be our leader. We all submit to you. So you give us protection. If at a point in time, we see that you are the leader, you're supposed to be giving us protection. You are not giving us protection. What do we do? We have to protect ourselves. That is what it is. The danger of self-defense It's a very dangerous situation.
The former president has alluded to this before. Do you support that claim?
No. You see, it's not only, I don't want to push it as though it's the president alone. I'm only saying the president because the buck stops with the president. On 7th of January 2017, he was given the authority of state.
I get you.
Okay, I'm coming.
The question I'm asking is about former President Mahama saying that the NDC has revolutionary roots, and by these revolutionary roots, it has some form of violent tendencies, more than what the current government could even possess in this case. And they will match the current government boot for boot. Is this a reflection of, indeed, the NDC's history? And secondly, is this in the right direction?
First of all, I'm not here speaking for NDC.
No, I'm not saying so, but I'm asking you to independently analyze the former president's statement.
I've explained this in a moment ago. That's what the point I was making. I'm saying that if you fail to give confidence to the people, they may be tempted to look for their self-defense, and that you can't stop them. You understand? That one you can't stop.
So Mr. Mahama is justified?
Oh, no. I don't want you to put words into my mouth.
No, I just want to ask you the question. Because, and I want you not to put in the vacuum.
Ask a question.
Sorry, I don't want you to generalize it.
Ask a question.
Because I'm asking a question from a direct source.
You know, in the courtroom, we don't accept, you know.
But forgive me, I have the liberty because I'm not sitting in the courtroom. Okay. Because I'm you know,
leading questions. You know, I don't suggest things to me.
The question I'm asking is purely to do what the former President Mahama said.
What President Mahama, if I heard him right, I've read the full story, but if he said that, if he said it's a conditional thing.
Yeah.
Was it not conditional?
Yes, I believe so too.
What is, in French they call the C clause. It means that if you do the right thing, it won't be boot for boot. Is that what is your worry then?
Nana, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Oh, are you finished yet?
Yeah, because it's 7 o'clock and I have to move on. Okay. I think you have to continue this conversation some other time.
Yeah,
I am pleased to have you here.
I said we must stop vigilantism.
I get you.
We must find various ways of dealing with it. And lastly, I think that the political parties have a big role to play. That's what they did. They came together and they came with the transition.
I'm afraid I may have to interrupt this. Thank you so much, folks, for also joining us on today's edition of UPfront. My guest is the former Chief of Staff, very competent in transitions. Thank you so much once again.